Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Yo, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
ECSI fans, do you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll for Thursday, January 25th, 2024. Hard to believe a week from now we will flip the calendar and it is February already. Where does the time go? Shout out to our men behind the desk, Joseph Shea and Evan Lewis. Shout out to our proud partnership and sponsor, WagerWire. If you have not downloaded the app, please jump on over to Google Play or wherever you download the apps. It's free. Start tracking your bets. Start keeping track of your ROI. Scroll to the bottom of that app. Start downloading some of the sports books available in your area. Take advantage of the match play, the free bets, and all the promos that they do have to offer. And if you're looking to make a little flash cash and want to join this amazing team at WagerWire, send an email to affiliates@wagerwire.com. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. Travis, Zach, the rest of this team, community, and staff will take good care of you. Without further ado, let's bring in the star of this show, Mr. Julian Edlow.
Morning, Jeff. How we doing?
We're doing great. God bless us. We can get through 22 minutes without the internet crashing here. The rain has subsided. It's almost 50 degrees here in Cape Cod, so life is good. Let's just start rating Patriots territory. Report today from Shefty that Bill Belichick is not the favorite to land the job in Atlanta. Thoughts there?
Little surprised. It felt like momentum was going that way. Something changed. I don't know if it's that Bill maybe sees himself getting the Buffalo job. Maybe he doesn't want to coach this season. That would surprise me, because I think if he's going to come back and either don't coach again or come back and coach now, because you're going after a record. You're getting up there in age. You want to retire. I have no idea what he's thinking. Obviously, Belichick wanted to keep going in New England and essentially got fired. So it's one of the more difficult coaching landing spots to handicap, I guess, just because you don't necessarily know what Belichick's agenda is and what some of these teams want to do. I think having the Harbaugh domino fall should help us learn things earlier, because that's one of the guys that, maybe Belichick's the better coach, but you're getting 2-3 years there, whereas Harbaugh, you're looking at somebody to potentially run your program long term. So that could speed things up. I guess I'm a little surprised that maybe it wouldn't be Atlanta for Belichick, but a much better job could be available. The Cowboys could be available mid-season. And I don't know if that's necessarily a better job or not, but just the Atlanta Falcons doesn't seem like a Belichick type of organization.
You brought up Buffalo. The locals have talked about it, Felger and Maz and a few others at 98.5, the Sports Hub. So intriguing. Listen, a tough loss to the Chiefs. They battled back. End of the season, rattled off 5-6 wins in a row to get into that spot to host and Mahomes and company take them down. If you're Buffalo, do you kick the tires, or I mean, the thought of bringing Bill in, and I think that would be getting them over the hump, but you're ripping the Band-Aid off, and it's a bold move there.
Yeah, it's a bold move I would make because things haven't been working. You got to shake something up. You're kind of watching the same movie over and over again every postseason, right? So definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. That's when you make a move.
You talked about Harbaugh to the Chargers, Vrabel heading over to the Panthers now. It just seems, I know because of the Rooney Rule, it just seems like a dragged out process. There's a handful of spots available. Maybe Atlanta's playing the game where, Bill, you're asking for too much. Do you want to coach or not coach? Let us take care of the rest of it. And you brought up a great point. Whoever brings Bill in, you're only getting him for 2, maybe 3 years at tops, correct?
That's why it needs to be, you're not going to go build something like the Chargers are trying to build something. They have Herbert, but they have a lot of work to do. And Harbaugh is going to build that year by year. Buffalo seems kind of perfect to me. A team with the pieces in place, but you need to shake something up to get over the hump. But if you're Belichick, if you're Bill, do you want to go to a team where it's going to be set again? You have the quarterback. You just got dropped right in here. Like Belichick, in a lot of ways, I think would want to win without Brady, without being, placed into a situation of a team that's ready to win. So I can see it both ways of you only got so long left. You want to be ready to win, but also for your own narrative of your career, you want to put the work in to build your own winner rather than just take something that's kind of pre-made for you.
I'm high above courtside here at the TD Garden, of course, for the Celtics here. Friday night, the Joker, the defending champs, come into Boston, 6.5, 7-point underdogs, defeat the Celtics, their first home loss of the year, now 20-1. From a season ticket holder's perspective, from a big fan, I don't want to say nervous, but does that game alone raise your eyebrows at all?
It does. It was a big game, clearly taken seriously by both sides. Everybody played. Celtics looked a lot like the team they've looked in recent postseasons, where they come out playing very well, play very poorly at the end of each half, and let it catch up to you. So I think that was a measuring stick game, and they failed the test again. So I think this team's better. I trust them more than I do in years past, but they are still having the same reoccurring problems. So again, they're going to get Miami on the road tonight. That's a team that you've had your obvious issues with. Not that Miami cares as much about a regular season game as you do. And they lost last night to Memphis. I don't know if they were looking ahead to this game or if they just don't care about the regular season per usual, and they'll play from wherever they are in the postseason and they rest anybody tonight. But you would want to see the Celtics take this game seriously. Clean injury report. Nobody's sitting this game out once again. And get out to a lead and maintain that lead and close with that lead, which has been their big issue. So I don't know what it is about them where they shut it down and play differently when that clock starts winding, but they need to figure it out. And it's been years now. Coaches, players, equally accountable, need to identify that problem. I think they have identified that problem, but figure out a way to fix it.
We talk about the Miami Heat, the regular season Miami Heat, and of course the playoff Miami Heat. They add Terry Rozier. I assume come All-Star break, trade deadline, they might add another piece in between. Thoughts on Terry Rozier going to the Heat?
Yeah, helpful for them. Kyle Lowry had fallen off a cliff. They go to Gabe Vincent. He catches lightning in a bottle, but they lose that. They lose Strus. They needed a piece, and they got a piece here in Rozier, who can be a very productive player. Gives them a lot of aspects that they don't have in terms of a really athletic scoring point guard. There was a pretty big void at point guard on that team, and they just kind of made up for it because Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo can handle the ball and move the ball. Not that Rozier is like your prototypical pass first point guard, but he gives you somebody that can handle, distribute, and definitely score. So that's a piece. The Pacers kind of got the ball moving with the Siakam move. You got these middle of the Eastern Conference teams making pushes to get better. And while I don't think an Indy is going to win the East, and I don't think a Miami is going to win the East, although they trick us like this every year, these moves could push your Boston, Milwaukee, Philly to kind of have a domino effect and make moves of their own. The Celtics aren't in a desperation place where they would need to make that big move. I don't think Milwaukee necessarily is either, but they will certainly be in the market to add pieces. And I think that Rozier move, even more than Siakam, could push those type of things to happen.
Speaking of Milwaukee, they shocked the world. Second best record in the NBA, yet pulled the plug on Mr. Griffin. Add good friend, or actually former coach Doc Rivers. It was funny. We was doing the show Monday night from the Garden with Pepe when the news breaks and someone says, "Well, at least you're going to win the series in 7." I was like, well, obviously Doc's not going to try to get to a game 7. They're going to have to win it in 6 or less. Thoughts on Mr. Doc Rivers, head coach of the Bucks now?
Yeah, it's a players' league, and this move was clearly initiated by the players, and they props to the Bucks, I guess, for listening and making the move, but it better work. It's going to look good initially because Doc Rivers is your ultimate players coach. The players are going to like him, but can he get it done in the playoffs? The only team that he won with essentially coached itself. Garnett, Pierce, Allen, they were so ready to win that they were probably going to break through no matter who was at the helm. So now you're in a situation, it's kind of weird. Milwaukee shouldn't need much of a push. Like, they've won. They've gotten rid of some of the identity, more like a Drew Holiday off of that winning team. Middleton's taken a huge step back. But the main core of that winning team is there, built around Giannis. So, this is a team that has won before that Doc Rivers is trying to get back over the hump, I guess. The difference being there's better teams in the Eastern Conference now than there were when Milwaukee won, most notably Boston. So the move doesn't move the needle much for me one way or the other. What it does do is make the Bucks locker room happy. And we'll see if that team is good enough on their own to bring themselves to a championship. But nothing X's and O's wise or rotations wise that Doc Rivers does that Adrian Griffin wasn't doing is going to make the Bucks win a championship.
Earlier in the week, Joel Embiid puts up 70 as the Sixers continue to do Sixer-type things in the regular season. Do your eyes right now currently just in the East, your pecking order, Celtics, Bucks, Sixers, Heat, or the Cavs, or someone else sneaking in there?
I would say it's Celtics, Bucks, Sixers, Heat. I'll just always give the Heat the benefit of the doubt because of what they're capable of in the postseason. Let me see what the standings look like right now. But the Knicks have gotten better with OG, and they want to add OG to defend your Giannis's, your Tatums, but I don't think they have the offense, especially with getting rid of Quickly and Barrett in that deal. Yeah, you get something you need, but I don't know if you have the offense to win some of these series. So, Cleveland Knicks would be that 4-5 series. Pacers working from behind in the 7 seed. Magic are a nice story this season in the 8 seed, and give the Celtics issues. That's not a 1-8. That would be a very fun time for Boston, but I would pick the Celtics. I think it's those top three, and then I give the benefit of the doubt to Miami, who's the 6th seed, and then we can start talking about the Cavs and the Knicks and the Pacers.
Lastly, in the NBA, I don't know what to do with the Wild Wild West. And again, from ECSI standpoint, I just watch the numbers. I follow along. I try to get to the All-Star break, and then the last 18, 20 games really start to dive in, and then obviously the playoffs. What do you see going on in the West? I mean, you got the youth movement, then you got the Lakers, and then you got KD and Booker, you got Luka and Kyrie. How do you break down the West?
I'm looking at what would be the 4-5 matchup right now, and that would be the Clippers and the Suns. Those are the two teams that I think are the best teams in the Western Conference. It'd be interesting to see him in a 4-5 first round matchup rather than a Western Conference final. But those are the two teams that I like. Those are the two teams that I'll take the same strategy with. I'll kind of wait till we get more towards the finish line of the regular season and make sure that they're healthy because both have had major health issues. And if they are, those are the teams that I'm looking to back. You got OKC and Minnesota atop the standings. Both of them are 31-13. How much do we trust them in the postseason? Do we think one of those teams is actually good enough to win the Western Conference? I don't think either of them are quite mature enough to get through a Clippers or a Suns team. And then Denver's there in the 3 seed as the reigning champs. I like the Clippers and the Suns. If I'm picking the West, it'll be really interesting to see what teams like OKC and Minnesota are able to do in the postseason, and if they're able to maintain these positions in the standings for the rest of the regular season. But I think we need to see something from them in the postseason before we're actually buying it.
So this year's OKC or Minnesota, say, was potentially last year's Sacramento?
Yeah, in some ways. I would probably give these teams a little bit more credit than Sacramento, and you see the Kings in the 7 seed this year, so they haven't been quite as good, but they're still in the playoff picture. What those teams do is they can play defense, which differentiates them from Sacramento, and that becomes important in the postseason. If Minnesota's playing its best defense, it can do well in the postseason. It just needs to be scoring and figure out things on the offensive end, and not fall into the trap that they fell into against the Hornets the other night, feeding Karl Anthony Towns, and then poof, you lose to the Hornets in a game that somebody has 62 points. They have to figure out the offensive end. But like if a team like Minnesota is locked in defensively, you are in for a series, and Sacramento couldn't say that last year.
NFL on Sunday, the Final Four, Championship Sunday. The early game, the AFC, Mahomes and the Chiefs and the Swifties travel on over to Baltimore and Lamar Jackson. Seeing some 3.5s out there. And then the nightcap, kind of funny, opened at 6.5, of course, goes to 7. Seeing 6.5s out there. Lions and 49ers. Maybe the public is just sitting and waiting. Is Debo playing or not? I don't think he does. If he does, maybe he's a decoy. Thoughts where your eyes are, some potential leans, props, or anything you're seeing in the 2 championship games in the NFL on Sunday?
Yeah, I think Kansas City, Baltimore is a pretty tough one. I do like the Niners to ultimately win, so I think a good teaser is bringing the Niners down with the Chiefs up. I think Kansas City, Baltimore will be a competitive game. If you're getting 9.5 there, I feel pretty good about it. And I feel very good about the Niners winning. That's a team I've been betting on NFC futures all season long, not necessarily to win the Super Bowl, but just to win the NFC. So now this is why I was making the bets. You're a minus 355 home favorite in the championship round. So you just got to come through one more time. I don't think we're going to see the Niners play that poorly twice in a row. Packers probably outplayed them last week, should have beaten them to get them out. Didn't. The rain was a huge factor for Purdy. The rain seemed to be a huge factor for the Niners defense, slipping all over the place and giving things up. Now we're going to get good weather. Purdy's going against the 30th ranked pass defense in the NFL. Lions are giving up like 340 a game through the air over their last 4 or 5 games. I think that offense is going to look a lot better with or without Debo. And I do think Debo plays, whether it's as a decoy or not. I think he's trending towards playing despite not practicing. So I like the Niners a lot. If you have not gotten in on a position and you don't want to make a teaser, I would lay 7 with the Niners as my favorite side on any of the spreads straight in the games. And Brock Purdy over what is it, 274.5 or so passing yards. That's gone over that mark. The opposing quarterback of the Lions, 5 of the last 6. 4 of the last 6 have been for 300 plus. Hit some Baker Mayfield 300 plus last week. You can get that at plus 175 on DraftKings Sportsbook for Purdy to have 300 yards. I don't mind that. Lions indoors this season. They played 14 games indoors, 8 regular season at home, 2 postseason at home, 4 road games in domes, averaged 30.75 points in those games. They played 5 outdoor games. They averaged 17.8 points per game in those outdoor games. So even though it's going to be nice weather in San Francisco, this team, while it's shown, in Green Bay that it put up some points in the Green Bay game on the road at Lambeau, the other games, 21 against the Chiefs at Arrowhead, 6 in Baltimore, 13 in Chicago. I think against a healthy Niners defense outdoors in some good weather, Detroit's going to be in for a little bit of trouble.
Got a couple minutes left before you have to leave. What are your eyes seeing in the college ranks in hoops? We talked for the last 10 to 2 weeks about grabbing some Kentucky stock at 21 to 1, 20 to 1. On Saturday, I said, hey, if you haven't bought, go grab them at 14 to 1. In comes the 7-footer. Get blitzed in South Carolina this week. But what are your eyes seeing you in the college basketball ranks?
Yeah, I was on a little bit of a tough stretch in college hoops. Had a good night last night to bounce back a little bit there. Man, Kentucky's down to 12 to 1, even though they lost that game. I have some Kentucky 16 to 1 in pocket. I probably want 15 to 1 or better, but we'll see if it gets back there. Auburn, I know, lost last night. I had Alabama in that game. Auburn's for real. They can battle anywhere, it seems like. They're a team that I like. Futures wise, tonight, the one thing that I've played so far is San Francisco plus 9.5 at Gonzaga. I generally fade Gonzaga on the road, but this is still a lot of points. They're still 5-5 against the spread at home. They've been burying the bad teams. The better teams have been competing, and San Francisco is one of the better teams. They're elite defensively. They're not too shabby offensively. They've got some good road covers. They lost by 1 at Utah State. They beat Vandy on the road as favorites, but still, they covered at Boise State. This is a team that I think can hang, keep this in single digits at Gonzaga. So that's the one thing in college hoops that I played so far tonight.
The scroll has been going the whole time. As we always wrap it up, I want you to tell everyone where they can find your shows and stuff, and also the big reason why to download the DraftKings app.
Yeah, Unreasonable Odds came out this morning, my podcast. We had Johnny Avello, the director of DraftKings Sportsbook. We had Ross Tucker, whose podcast is on the DraftKings network, and he's out there calling these football games. Come on and give his takes on the game. So you can check that out on my Twitter timeline. And then The Sweat on weekends, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Saturdays and Sundays. It's on DraftKings Network. It's on VSiN. It's on Samsung TV. It's on other streaming platforms. It's on Twitter. You can find it. Let me see what we got going on for the promos. If you're playing college hoops tonight, 25% boost on a parlay. If you're putting a couple things together. Hockey, I don't do that. 33% boost on hockey bet tonight. That's what it looks like we got going on so far, but we absolutely will have some promos going on for the games on Sunday.
All right. The one and only Julian Edlow. Please go follow him at Julian Edlow, at DraftKings, at DK Sportsbook, at DK Live and Reasonable Odd Podcast. And, of course, catch him Saturday and Sunday on The Sweat, on VSiN, Samsung, and everywhere else. Jules, always a pleasure. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch up next week.
Cool. Thank you, Jeff.
Take care, Jules. Julian Edlow, good friend and colleague. He's about 50 minutes from where I am right now. I'm on Cape Cod. He's in Boston. Always great to catch up with him every Thursday here. At 3 o'clock, Andrew McGinnis from Wager Talk from McGinnis Picks will be here live on our channel talking some NHL. Big slate tonight in the NHL there. And then at 4:30, myself and Riley will be back for the closing bell. I can't thank everyone enough for watching. If you haven't already, please jump on over to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel at East Coast Sports Investors. That's big appreciated there. And if you have not, again, head on over to Google Play or wherever you do download the apps. Download that WagerWire app, and we will be doing a lot of big things. We'll be debuting a couple things next week. Is next Friday, Wheels Up, as I head to Las Vegas for the 2nd through the 9th. We'll be covering Radio Row live with Anthony Pepe, Sports Map Radio, for the Super Bowl. So excited there. Have a few days on that weekend and the start of the week. I'm going to do some live shows from a few sports books, try to bring on a few guests. We'll be meeting up with Bernie Fratto from Fox Sports Radio, Bill Krakenberg from Fox Sports as well, and a couple good friends out there. So going to be a fun time, and we can't thank you enough. So everyone, it's 11:02 East Coast time. Enjoy the rest of the morning, and we'll catch up with you later this afternoon. You all take care.